Welcome to Above Par. I'm your host, Kathy Hartwood. I show you how to take more of your talent to the golf course without practicing harder, taking more lessons, or buying new equipment. I show you how to end the frustration of underperforming so you can start playing to your potential. This is where you are going to learn how to think above par so you can play below par. Let's get to it. Hello, my golf friend. Welcome back to Think Above Par. Super happy that you're here and listening. Still in December, playing some golf, maybe that would be amazing. This is the time of year where we review our year. We look back and see how things went so that we can ramp up for next year. And I wanted to share with you part of a call that I had with my membership, a Think Above Par membership, which was about the first step in reviewing your year. And this is about looking at your wins and looking at the things that went well over the course of the year. Even if you are headed into the winter months and you still are playing golf because you're in a warm climate and maybe the season ramps up for you where you are, it doesn't matter. Just looking back at 2024 on what went well for you, I'm going to talk about that in this call that I'm sharing with you. And I want to walk you through some of those steps. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, and I want you to take the time and review that so that you can set yourself up for an amazing 2025. All right, so without further ado, here's my call with my membership about looking at the things that went well in 2024, our year in review. I wanted to talk and get the ball rolling on evaluating your last year and doing it from a standpoint that is going to serve you going into next year. And we're going to do that over the course of this month. It's important for you to go through, just like you do a post-round evaluation, I want you to do a post-year evaluation. I want you to look back at your whole golf season, like the whole golf year, about what went well. And so here are some questions, though, that I want you to consider. And I really, really want you to take your time with this. So just keep asking yourself, what else? What else? Because it's very challenging for our brain to look back and come up with things that went well. Our brain wants to think about all the things that didn't go so well. And then we kind of shut down because you might think about a tournament that you played in and you'll think about the negative things that happened in that tournament. And I want you to just keep redirecting your brain back to what went well in that tournament or what went well in that event. So one of the things that I want you to ask yourself first is really, what was your handicap or your scoring average at the beginning of the year? And what was it at the end of the year? Right? Did it shift? Did it go up? Did it go down? We're just going to look at the data right there. And it may or may not matter to you. It may not have been a goal, but let's just see where we are. I want you to look at how many rounds of golf you played. Again, we're collecting data right now. So for instance, if your handicap went up and then you said, oh, well, how many rounds of golf did I play? And it was like half of what you played last year, that could be a contributing factor. Right? If your handicap went up and you played a ton of rounds of golf, that'd be good to know. Like something's going on if your handicap is going up and you're playing more golf. So it's just data. How much did you practice? This is where you have to be brutally honest with yourself on how much time you actually spent practicing. I would get really curious about how much did I spend in full swing? How much did I spend in the short game? How much did I spend on putting? Like, how did I divide up my practice? Was it effective? Because time does not equal results. So it is not about the time that you put in. We have a tendency to want to practice the things that we like the most, not what we need the most. This is why people go to the range and they pull out their driver when they're not warmed up and they hit that first because they can stick it on a tee and it makes them feel good about watching it go a long way. That's the worst thing you could possibly do if you're going to a practice session. I hope none of you do that, is take out your driver as your first club. Okay, so how much did you practice? That was the question. And what did you practice? Like when you really look back and be brutally honest, right? I never practiced my putting. I never went into the practice bunker and hit any bunker shots this year. And my bunker game sucked this year. Like you got to be brutally honest with yourself about what you were doing, where you were spending your time. How many tournaments did you play in? Events, tournaments, however you qualify a tournament, a club event, something where your score was going to get posted, where you're going to slap your score up on a board, where there was some competition involved. Anything that if it shakes your hamster cage a little bit more than it would if you were playing with some friends, you can consider that an event. So this might be either really easy to answer or challenging to answer, but I just want you to think about it. I want you to get your brain to think about how many different people did you play with this year? Because we can stay playing with the same people over and over again because they are comfortable, because they're easy, because we know we get along, because they don't shake our hamster cage, right? Because we got a shot at having a green light day. And I'm not saying we don't do this. I'm saying that what happens is that we can just play really small and safe, right? And my goal for you is, in a demented way, I want you to shake your hamster cages, because when you shake your hamster cage, you reveal so much about what's in your head that is keeping you staying where you are. You get an opportunity to mentally grow, right? If everybody understands what I'm talking about by shaking your hamster cage, like, we avoid things that are uncomfortable, not all the time consciously. It's just, it could be very subconscious that we're avoiding things. We're avoiding playing with difficult people, right? Versus, I want to play with that ass because I'm going to have a chance to manage my mind around them. I'm going to learn. I'm going to figure some things out about myself. I get to practice this. You build up your toolkit. If I can handle that person and manage my mind around it and still show up and play and swing freely and think clearly, bring it on. I can handle anybody. But if you go out there and you're playing with this person who's a jerk and you're noticing all the thoughts, the stories in your head that come up about that person, that's your work. Because you're going to run into that person somewhere else, on or off the golf course, someone similar to that. So we can't avoid them all the time. When we avoid things, we end up playing small. We end up shrinking. We end up living our life in a little box on either side of neutral. If you're trying to avoid things, then I just want you to get curious about that. You're like, yeah, I'm not willing to experience. That's a hard no. That's a hard pass, right? There's work in there. There's growth in there for you. How did you grow yourself or stretch yourself this year? I want you to write down all the things that you can come up with. Or, as I said, get out of your comfort zone. Okay. Did you do that? Get really curious. So the idea is that you're going to look at first the big picture, right? So we're going to get the big picture about what happened over the course of the year. So handicap, rounds, all those things. Now, small picture, little picture, right? We're going to go to what went well, right? And this is your first step. You will go to what didn't go well, but I don't want you going there yet. I want you to stay on this until you've filled up quite a few pages on all the different things that went well. So what went well in your tournaments? Witness your brain, go to where you didn't go so well and say, nope, I'll do that later. First, I'm focusing on what went well. Find anything that went well in a tournament. What went well as far as your skills? How did your skills shift? Did you gain distance? Did your putting improve? Did you curve the ball less this year? Did you hit more greens? Lower your putts? Better distance control? Reduce your three putts? Like, just think about anything that shifted as far as your mechanics, your technique, or your skill result. Mental wins. How did you manage your mind better this year? What shifted from last year? Did you manage your emotions better? Were you more intentional? Did you create different habits? Did you rehearse your pre-shot routine? Did you add something to the things that you do on the golf course mentally that you didn't last year and you saw some success with it? Did you pivot faster? Did it take you 5 holes to get over being pissed off after a big number and now it takes you 3? That's a win. Were you less anxious? I want you to know, right? Less anxious, even though maybe it's not a term, that's a win. You're moving in the right direction. Sometimes the best we can do when we're doing a steer and we're pivoting is less anxious, less pressure, less nervous, not calm. We don't have to jump all the way to being calm or peaceful or confident. A win sometimes is just a baby step. And sometimes that's all our brain can handle in certain situations, meaning that's all your brain is willing to give up on. Your brain has such a tight hold on some things for us that it's just a little bit of advancement is a win. This is where we can judge ourselves. Other times you're like, it's so easy for me to get past this emotion or this situation, but this other one, not so great. That's okay. Just give yourself whatever was your little growth in that window is a win. Course management wins. So did you finally switch up playing number 3? Did you finally start looking at Not taking driver off of every tee box? Did you start playing a little bit smarter? Did you short side yourself less because you're paying different attention? Did you do better on your lag putts? Did you cut your losses before you made some big numbers? That's course management wins. And social wins. So social wins relative to golf, because golf is a social sport. It's about either creating new groups of people to play golf with, maybe going out into more social tournaments, staying after sometimes when we don't play well. I was a person, if I played bad, I was out of there. See ya. Nope. Nope. Not hanging out. Not hanging out at the golf course. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody. I was like, but if I played well, I'm like, hey, let's go have lunch. It's horrible. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was young. I was in my 20s. I just hated the feeling of playing poorly. So I didn't want to engage with people. I checked out. Right. So maybe that's a social win that you hung around after a round of golf where you normally wouldn't. You socialized, you had your own back a little bit better. You didn't make it mean something, playing with different groups of people, maybe shaking up and playing with different partners might have been a social win for you. Okay. So I want you to go through anything else that maybe I didn't touch on that you might find as a win, put it down. All right. So first go through the big picture about how the year went and then get very specific on all the different ways that you had some successes and some wins. I want you to fill up a couple pages as anything that you can possibly think of, no matter how minor you think it is, write that sucker down.
All right, golf friends, there you have it. Let's get started with your year in review. And make sure you listen to next week on the next steps. And if you want to connect with me, make sure you head to kathyhartwood.com. All right, friends, have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.